Do not sell your assets. First of all, if you're not investing, let this be the last video you ever watch that encourages you, inspires you to start investing. I was broke at the age of 38. By the age of 37, I was a millionaire. My net worth had gone over $1 million. By the age of 40, I actually had $1 million in a brokerage account. Now I'm 44 years old. The way that my net worth has risen to where it's at now is through investing. I want to talk to you about 3 of my clients right now. This thing is you got to keep it simple. Even people come to me all the time now and they want to know about all the sexy stuff. They want to know about, what stock should I invest in that nobody knows about. They want to know about how do I invest in real estate out of the country. They want to know about how do I start lending money to banks. You don't need any of that stuff. Here's what you need. You need to figure out a way to start making more money. I'm going to talk to you about 3 of my clients that have kind of solved the money game, but I'm not bright. They wouldn't tell you that they are like super bright. I used to always think you had to have like a high GPA or you had to be an engineer or a lawyer. You do not. Okay. You do not. Let me tell you, you do not. I'm going to tell you about 3 of my clients. I'm going to tell you what they do to simply start making over $200,000 a year. Okay. That's the first thing. We got to figure out how to up our income a little bit more. The second thing is we have to figure out a way to decrease our spending or not raise our lifestyle to the same degree of the income that's coming in. And number 3 is you got to make this money start working harder for you than you work for it. The fact that you're not doing that right now is absolutely crazy. The fact that I waited until I was about 34 years old to start doing that is absolutely crazy. You know why it's crazy? Because you're systematically working every day to work longer. Let me just say that again. If you do not invest, what you're basically telling yourself is, I want to work super hard until I'm like 65 or 70 years old. Every month and every year that you invest cuts down on the amount of years that you're going to be free. So let's just say that pure freedom in your life came at age 65. Every year that you invest, it shortens that time gap. So I invest heavily this year. I don't have to work until I'm 64. I invest heavily next year. I don't have to work until I'm 63. I invest heavily the year after that. I don't have to work until I'm 62. So every year that you heavily invest, you get to buy back your time. And I don't know about you, but time is the most important thing that you have. I'm on a drive right now in one of the most beautiful neighborhoods in Southern California. If you ever come to Southern California, you have to come to a place called Fairbanks Ranch. I'm just driving through it. I'm just having fun. I'm on my little route to where the day ends and I just drive. I want to do that because I have time to do that. So I don't want to be working at age 55 or 60 or 65 or die still working. I want to be free, and so do you. Let me tell you about 3 of my clients. One of my clients, all he did was a couple years ago, he was working for a construction company. And then he learned how to be a handyman for this company. First as a property manager, and then he learned how to be a handyman. And then COVID hit and the company scaled back. And so he said, okay, I need to go get more jobs as a handyman. And he did that. And then as he started to pick up more jobs, he said, I need to become, what do you call it? I need to start my own construction company. And so he started his own construction company, and now he is, oh my gosh, what do you call it? What do you call it when they have the licensing and all that? I forget. But not only does he have his own construction company, he's a licensed contractor. So do you see that progression? He started out as a property manager. Anybody can get a job as a property manager. That's not a hard job to get, right? You right now can get a job as a property manager. And then from there, he built skill sets. You got to learn how to build more skills to become more valuable. So he built skill sets to become a handyman. He started learning how to fix stuff. And then he started to learn how to go acquire clients and customers. And then he decided to take the risk to start his own company. And then he got the licensing as a contractor to now he can not only, he can oversee his own company, but also he can have partnerships to where other people that don't have the license, they can work underneath his contract and he can take a portion of their company. Right? So all of that happened in the last 5 years. So he went from maybe making $30,000 a year to over $200,000 a year. Okay. So that's the first one. The second one is a woman who now runs a salon, but she didn't start out that way. These are all clients in my program. And so she started out just doing hair out of her house. Then she went to go get licensed. Then she rented a chair at a salon. And then she said, you know what, let me start my own salon. Now she has people that are renting space from her in her salon. And now she has 3 different locations of the salons. This all happened within the last 10 years. What did she do? She learned how to make herself more valuable. So she went from making maybe $15 an hour, $20 an hour, to now she brings in over $300,000 a year. Okay, that's the second one. The third one, there's so many of these, right? So many of these stories. I just want to show you how to start solving the money problem. The third one is a woman started at a company. She started, and she really just started out as sort of like an assistant. And then from an assistant position, she made herself more valuable and she learned how to do operations. And then from the operations, she started to learn how to lead teams and start to learn how to do automations. And then from automations, she started to learn how to hire and how to manage. And then from that, because she became so valuable, she got a part of the company in equity. Right. And then from that, because she knew so much about this company, after a handful of years, she actually started running the company. So she went from making, $50,000 a year to now owning part of the company and being the CEO of the company. So what I'm just showing you is, first, we got to figure out how to scale your income. And what I just demonstrated to you is you have to learn how to make yourself more valuable. Stack skill sets, whether that's starting out as a property manager, whether that's starting out as an assistant, whether that's starting out doing hair in your freaking garage. You have to learn how to make yourself more valuable. And then number 2 is, as these people's income went up, they cannot now go drive the Tesla Model X that I'm in right now. You can't do that right away. You have to keep your lifestyle really limited, really low, while your income goes up. Okay. And you can't freaking acquire a whole bunch of debt because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm in a neighborhood right here. I would say the majority of these houses are anywhere from 3 to upwards to $70 million. You can't start moving into $1 million homes, right? Like you gotta still rent that little apartment. You have to do what I did. I was making $50,000 a month. And I was, let me scale it back. I was renting a little apartment with my wife in Long Beach, California, from a woman who's like a second mom to me. I think she was charging me $1,500 a month. And I was already making probably $25,000 a month. Listen to that. And I'm renting a little condo that was maybe 800 square feet, 900 square feet. And then the next place I moved into, my mortgage, taxes, and insurance, I was probably making $30,000 a month. And my mortgage was like $2,500 a month. I could have, moved into a freaking place where I'm spending $5,000-$10,000 a month on rent or a mortgage. But no, you got to keep that stuff small. So you have to manage what you have. And number 3 is you got to start investing that money. Now, let me tell you some secrets. A lot of us are nervous about investing. I understand it. A lot of you, just like me, weren't taught the money game. We've all heard stories of people that's invested money and have lost money. So we don't want to lose the money. I get it. You work hard for the money. It feels risky. But what I'm telling you is, it's not that risky. What's risky is not investing. Okay? Coming from a guy who at the age of 32 was broke. And like I told you, by the time I was 37, I had $1 million in net worth. By the time I was 40, I had $1 million in brokerage accounts. And now that I'm 44, I have multiple millions. I got multiple millions. Okay. What is risky is not making that money work for you. So one of the easiest things you do, you don't have to get sexy. And once you start investing, do not sell those assets. You got to buy them and you got to hold them. Okay. Don't get sexy. Don't get cute. Don't go on YouTube and listen to these people that buy and then sell and all that stuff, because that's a skill set. And what that is basically is another job. Now, I'm not poo-pooing it, but you're building your skill set in something else, right? You got money that's coming in. You don't need to buy a stock today and wait for that mug to go up tomorrow and then try to sell it and try to flip it and all that stuff. No, because you've increased your worth in your job or in your business, like I just demonstrated to you. What you want to do is just very simply buy something, buy a low-cost index fund that tracks the stock market, the S&P 500. It's like just buying one stock that within this one stock, it's got 500 of the top companies in that stock. And every single month, you just want to pick out a certain amount of money. Maybe that's $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000. It doesn't matter. You pick out the number, and every month have that automatically just buy that stock every month. So if it's $500 a month, you're investing $6,000 a year into this stock. By the time 10 years comes, you've invested $60,000 into the stock. We're not selling it. But even though you've invested $6,000 or $60,000 into this stock after 10 years, this thing is going to be worth about $150,000. And then another 10 years goes by and you've invested $120,000 into the stock. But now this stock is worth about $600,000. And then another 10 years goes by, you've invested another $60,000 into the stock. Okay. And now you've only invested $180,000 into this stock, but this stock is worth $1.5 million. Another 10 years goes by, you invest another $60,000 in it. Now, my friend, you've only invested a total of $240,000 into this thing, but this thing is worth about $3 million. That's how it works. And that's why it's so risky if you don't start investing. So I literally, within 14 minutes, just explained to you the game plan and the playbook. Okay, you got to raise your income. How do you do that? You increase your value. I gave you 3 freaking examples of how you do that. Then you keep your lifestyle low. Why? Because the more I have a spread, the more I can invest. And then I find something that's super simple, and every month I just dump money into that and I buy more assets. And what? I do not sell. I hope that brought you value. If it did, go and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. We'll see you on the next one.